On the 25th of June in 1982, John Carpenter released The Thing, a movie about an extraterrestrial that is stranded on Earth. Its motives? Unknown, but it kills without mercy and can assume the form of its victims perfectly. Set at an isolated research facility, it was the embodiment of paranoia and horror that year. A few weeks earlier, Steven Spielberg had released a movie that held the global record for highest grossing film till 1993. And that movie was E.T. So when parents heard there was another movie about an alien, they unknowingly sent their children to see The Thing. This is probably my favorite anecdote about the film. It's just so funny how different a time the early 80s were. Well, anyway, between 1991 and 1999, a few comic series were released as follow-ups to the film. These comics are of a widely ranging quality. And take it from me, some of them are real bad. In 2011, 2 prequels were launched. In September, the prequel tie-in comic was released, which took place long before the events of either film. And in October, the prequel film released, hilariously titled The Thing. And to this day, many people seem to think that it was a sequel. And I don't mean like among fans of the series. I mean like regular people. They just didn't know. They watched it and still determined that it was a sequel. Media literacy was dead long before TikTok, folks. Most fans remember those, and most people in general know that there were 2 films. But few people were aware of the 2002 sequel. So I played this when I was like 13 on PS2, and as I played recently, I got little flashes from my early teen years. It was awesome. I remember being as scared of this game as I was the movie, and I vividly remember when I played the game, it felt like I was there. And then there was nothing. I remember the game being too hard at some point, and I just quit, and I returned to playing Gran Turismo. Good to see that some things never change. So, if there are sequel comics and a sequel game, what's the order, I hear you ask? Ha! Trick question. While the other sequels do exist, it seems as though John Carpenter regards only one of them as a true sequel, and that's the game. Now, if you don't want spoilers for the movies, I suggest watching the 1982 and 2011 films right now. Have you watched them? Great. Now, before we begin, if you're new here, why not hit that subscribe button? Doing so helps you by making it easier for you to find my reviews. And it helps me because the algorithm will show my videos to viewers like you. It's a rare 3-way win for us all. And while you're down there, why not tell me how much you enjoyed the original film? Anyway, welcome to my review of The Thing, 2002. This game was made during an era where single-player experiences were still being prioritized by most publishers and developers. And considering its age, I think that it has aged incredibly well. The world of the game further builds on what John Carpenter and many of the comic authors had previously established, while also managing to make its own mark on the universe. Now, the sound design is pretty great. There's generally no background music, just the sound of the winds blowing over the frozen Antarctic wasteland and through broken windows and blown out walls. What surprised me the most was how good the voice acting was, and it was pretty great, like straight up.
I'm gonna hide this tape when I'm finished. If none of us make it, at least there'll be some kind of a record. The storm's been hitting us pretty hard now for 48 hours. We still have nothing to go on. One other thing. I think it rips through your clothes when it takes you over. Windows found some shredded long johns, but the name tag was missing. They could be anybody's. We're all very tired. There's nothing else I can do. Just wait. R.J. McCready, helicopter pilot, U.S. Outpost North 31.
Not to mention that the sound of the thing sounds like it was ripped straight out of the film. When a monster is nearby, it feels and sounds terrifying. And the way your party interacts with the world too is pretty great. Each party member has their own unique personality, so they all react to stressful situations very differently. My favorite reaction, you ask?
We're screwed.
Fucking never gets old. I really cannot speak enough on the way the party members work. After the first area, any teammate you come across, you have to build up a certain level of trust. And trust can determine a number of things. How well a teammate tries to avoid shooting you, whether or not they'll follow you, or even just how hostile they are being towards you. When you deplete your trust, your teammates will try to just outright kill you. And within the context of the world, I thought that was pretty incredible. The environments are also fantastic. You start in the American research facility and you can see the full aftermath of the events of the film. After that, you move over to the Norwegian facility, which is faithfully recreated in game. Then, you get to discover the research facility that was built beneath it, as well as a whole ass submarine. It's awesome, and each environment is unique and terrifying in its own way. The underground research facility, having just recently fallen to the thing, is still mostly clean and in good condition, and is suddenly and disturbingly quiet. Oh, and also the big bad guy being voiced by the Cancer Man from X-Files was like, wow. The dude makes an incredible villain, and I wish there were more of him throughout the game. His lack of direct involvement after his introduction it's just kind of disappointing, and it kind of felt like a waste.
But first, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask for your weapons.
I'm not doing anything until I get some goddamn answers.
You're out of your league here, Blake.
Why he sound like the Smoking Man from X-Files?
So I guess this isn't my Medal of Honor ceremony, is it?
A little premature. Right now, we need to have you both tested.
What the hell are you talking about? I'm not infected. My men are dying out there. I've seen firsthand what this infection is capable of.
Oh, you have no idea what it can do.
You son of a bitch!
That is the Smoking Man. That's fucking wild. But when playing the thing, it feels like you're experiencing the nightmare that McCready and crew had gone through, and it is honestly all I could have asked for in regards to experiencing the thing. Okay, so straight up, the game is fun. Unfairly hard at times, but still very, very fun. And I want to start by digging into the team-based stuff, because I kind of left it hanging in the last section. Okay, so we talked about it in the last section, but we didn't get very deep into it. So your teammates' effectiveness are determined by their trust in you and their sanity. Trust, I found, was the easiest to manage. To increase trust, little baby burp that time. To increase trust, you can give your teammate a gun and ammo. Or you can heal them, or kill things in front of them, or take a blood test while they watch. Ammo and guns are so plentiful. I had no issue outfitting all my teammates while maintaining full ammo and 2 of each guns at all time. Doing so was basically easy mode in regards to trust, and that's honestly how I broached the trust situation. Oh, you don't trust me? Here, have a gun and a bunch of ammo. Oh, you'll follow me to hell and back now? Hell yeah, brother. Now on the flip side, if your trust drops to 0, they will try to attack you and kill you. There's two ways to deal with this. You can tase them and that'll disarm them, or kill them. The issue with disarming them is now they are more pissed and they still want to kill you. So if you have other teammates, they will attempt to push them down and take their weapons so they can continue killing you. It's quite hilarious, actually. And sanity, however, I found was a great deal harder to manage. Every teammate reacted to the world differently. So some teammates reacted more viscerally to the sights and sounds around them. And about 3 times I've had teammates go completely insane and just try shooting everything that moved. Now, just like with the teammates who are trying to kill you, you can tase them. But this time, however, they tend to curl up in a ball until they either off themselves or something else does. Early on, like in the 3rd level, I had a teammate transform into the thing and it really messed up the other guy. So I dispatched the thing and I had him wait in his little safe room while I cleared the rest of the building. And when I got back to him, he was dead. His mental state caused him to end his journey while I was less than 50 feet away from him, trying to make sure it was okay for him to move forward. Alright, let's go around my dude. What the fuck? He killed himself? Oh, that sucks. Oh, that's the engineer. No, wait, yeah, that was... What the fuck? Okay. I don't really understand how that happened, but... To remedy this, when their sanity drops to dangerous levels, you can inject them with a shot of adrenaline, and this will clear their insanity and make them fully functional members of society. And unfortunately, the adrenaline shots of guns. There are a number of guns you can use. You got the pistol, the assault rifle, the sniper rifle, the shotguns, the grenade launcher, the blowtorch, and the flamethrower. At some point, you get an M60 machine gun during the final boss fight, which is kind of cool. There's also a number of grenades: stun, incendiary, high explosive, and standard, all of which can be used as ammo for the grenade launcher. The gunplay is fine. Built into the game is an auto-aim feature which locks onto enemies, and in the case of bosses, weak points, which is generally fine. I, however, used a mod that allowed me to aim freely using the mouse. This generally made the game easier, but the auto-aim crosshairs has a number of quality of life features, such as giving you a visible display of enemy health and locking onto the weak points of bosses, which are not immediately obvious in most cases. The flip side of which is having mouse look aiming makes all of your shots insanely accurate. If it's in the center of your crosshair when you shoot, it's getting hit. So there's a trade-off for that. The gunplay is fine, and as soon as I got the shotgun, that's how I dealt with most situations. Now, there's a couple of enemy types to which I only know the names of the larger ones, the little crawling ones, the scudlers. They can be killed off easily with conventional firepower, but the larger things, the walkers, which there's a few kinds, you need to whittle down their health, and once it's low enough, you can cook it with the blowtorch, a flamethrower, or an incendiary grenade. Now, the walkers come in a variety of flavors as well. There's your standard bipedal walker, which there are like 2 or 3 flavors of one of which being flame resistant, not proof. So fire is still needed to finish it off. My favorite one is where if you leave it alone long enough, it births the little scudlers, which can make it hard to focus on the walker itself. And then there's just the regular walker who will get up and personal with you and beat the shit out of you. And then there's like the, I don't know, the bull-like walkers. They run around a room trying to charge you. In groups, they are very problematic, but individually, they're mostly just a nuisance. Now, the boss fights are a whole other beast. They are generally, for no reason, hard as hell. Except the last boss, which is like laughably easy. Like, compared to the difficulty of the area immediately preceding this boss fight, it felt like it was from a completely different part of the game. Now the game at first is kind of really easy, but in the last quarter of the game, it is wow, it is not fun at all. Now I love a hard game, and I love playing all my games on hard difficulty or higher. But for my playthrough, some of these situations were just impossible. There was a section, for example, where you descend farther into the underground facility and it's just wave after wave of enemies, and some of the scuttlers spawn infinitely until you reach a certain doorway. Now you can't know this until you clear that doorway, which is honestly just the start of this bullshit section. Now after you figure you should just run past the things in this narrow ass hallway, getting there will no doubt consume your health kits like candy, and once you get past that door, you're now being targeted by like 4 fully automatic turrets, which shred you to pieces if you are not immediately aware of them. Now if you played the game completely blind like I had, this came as a massive surprise. I died here. A lot. Now the first time when I realized what was going on, my nearest checkpoint was at the tippy top of the stairway with the infinitely spawning things. So now you gotta start the whole chapter from the very start. So I do. I get past all the things, chew up those health kits again, manage to get past those turrets, and surprise! The next room also has turrets that you will also probably not be prepared for. Needless to say, I was not having a good time. I had to eventually boot up my old friend Cheat Engine to get through this bit. I was not having fun. And there was like one other room beyond that point that was like this, but once you get past it, the game like drops down to a manageable level of difficulty. Hard, but not impossible. It's fun again after that. Now, you might not struggle the way I did, and I couldn't tell you why this was so hard for me, but it was. Oh, there's also a cold meter in like the beginning of the game that's basically phased out after about a quarter the way the game through, and then it's reintroduced in the last level, and the cold bar makes that last level particularly challenging, but it is still very fun. So, The Thing is a very fun and challenging game outside of the one impossibly difficult area. I had a lot of fun. I loved The Thing, so it was incredible getting to experience the world of The Thing in this way. In a generation full of remakes, I really, truly hope this gets one. So if it hasn't been made clear, this is a direct sequel to the 1982 film The Thing. And as far as I know, this is considered the sequel and supersedes all other sequels. Which, if that's the case, I am more than happy with that. There are 4 sequel comic book series, and half of them are hot dog shit. So, I can't find anything official in regards to this being like the sequel, but there's a few things to consider when you think about this as the official sequel to The Thing. Unlike the comic books, Universal Pictures was very involved in the production of the game. Universal was in a position to reject scripts, which they had. There is at least one original script Computer Softworks had written that was outright refused by the studio. 2, John Carpenter worked directly with Computer Artworks on this game. To what degree, I'm not sure at this time. I've been working on that, and those answers will likely be in their own video. But his likeness and voice are both used for Dr. Sean Faraday. So his input was probably at least used a great deal. 3, at some point, The Thing from Another World 1 and 2 were considered the sequel by Carpenter. But again, he and Universal were directly involved in this game's production. And to this day, he does have a clear preference for what is a sequel to him. Okay, so now let's get to the meat and potatoes of this. So, the game takes place a few days after the events of the 1982 film. We get to experience the world as Captain Blake. He and his team arrive at Outpost 31 and see everything has fallen apart. While exploring the facility, we intercept a distress call from Bravo team, who is at Thule Station, which is the Norwegian research station. We recover the explosives our helicopter dropped off for us. We also discover the corpse of Childs. So if you want to know who is actually a thing at the end of the film, we can confirm right here and right now, it wasn't Childs.
One body, identification says Childs, no survivors. Or what appears to be one body.
So we move over to Thule, and we encounter the terror that Bravo team had been experiencing. Thule Station is completely overrun by things. Now, while investigating, we discover a submersible docked underneath the warehouse at Thule. Now, before we embark on the ship, we fight the first boss, which is a Norwegian researcher who had stolen a radio and prevented outside communication from Blake and his team. The bosses in this game are called ruptures. I don't really understand why, but they are. So this one is the hangar rupture. And we defeat it, we get the radio back, and we enter the submersible. On the submersible, we learn that a company called Gen Inc. has been doing an immense amount of research on the things. And we managed to rescue their head scientist, Dr. Sean Faraday, who is voiced by John Carpenter himself. We managed to escape the sub and get back to the warehouse where we are ambushed by a team of soldiers led by Colonel Whitley, who is voiced by the Cancer Man from X-Files, William B. Davis. Whitley reveals they have distilled the thing down to its purest form and has injected himself with the DNA of the thing. Blake attempts to attack Whitley and is immediately incapacitated by a train gun Whitley had on his person. We get a brief cutscene at a new location known as the Strata Research Facility. Dr. Faraday is attempting to destroy the research materials that Whitley had been using up to this point, and he is immediately caught and executed by Whitley. Blake wakes up later and now fights to escape Strata. While escaping, he learns that Whitley has, or rather had, cancer and was using a specific strain of Thing DNA, which his team called the Cloud Virus, to stop the spread of it. And for all intents and purposes, that worked. Whitley also supposes that the virus and the spread of the thing can be controlled as long as he's using a superior strain of the Cloud Virus. It's also revealed kind of vaguely that Blake is completely immune to the Cloud Virus and thereby might also be immune to infection and assimilation from the thing, which is kind of weird, but you know, whatever. We learn that Whitley also plans to distribute the Cloud Virus across the planet, effectively assimilating the entire population of Earth into things. Blake manages to escape the facility, confronts Whitley, and eventually cornering him where it is revealed in no uncertain terms that there is no controlling the Cloud Virus. Just in the nick of time, a helicopter arrives and we use the MG to blast the Whitley thing to hell. And it's revealed that the pilot is none other than MacReady himself. Blake and MacReady fly off into the sunset and roll credits. I guess no one was a thing at the end of the film.
So what's your name, smartass?
MacReady. R.J. MacReady.
There he is, R.J. MacReady. Anyway, the story is great. It leaves me with a lot of questions. How much of Whitley's plan was determined by the thing? Was Whitley always under control of the thing, or was it a slower process to taking over his form since it started from DNA? What did the thing plan to do with all that biomass? That one really burns me. Longtime viewers will know I am always trying to figure out where biomass comes from, or what they're gonna do, what things are gonna do with biomass. When it comes to biomass, I always have questions. I love the story. It makes the two movies feel more complete and kinda wild. I like the idea of a company doing research while the monster ravages destroy the base. Those two bases mean nothing to Gen Inc. and were basically just little whoopsie daisies to the company. It's difficult to label a game like this as truly scary in 2024. Modern horror games have raised the bar with the hyper-realistic graphics, deeply immersive gameplay, and new tools for creating horrifying atmospheres. The Thing, with its early 2000 visuals, does not elicit that same immediate shock. However, I find it does well at capturing the psychological threat and paranoia that made the film so iconic. There's a few moments that can still manage to like really unsettle, even 2 decades later. Take the siege at the small facility right after recruiting Pierce. I think it's like level 4 or whatever. Right before you go to the warehouse. You get to the building and waves of scuttlers start storming the building, and it goes on. What feels like forever, just fighting off the scuttlers that are filling the building. And after you manage to survive all of that, it rewards you with a claustrophobic fight in the buildings against 3 walkers. And it's a tough experience with the constant threat of being overwhelmed by the sheer number of enemies. In that moment, it truly feels like the Thing is relentlessly hunting you and just out to get you. But this is mostly just a trying to survive kind of deal. Probably the most unnerving aspect of the game is the unpredictability of your teammates. Your first playthrough is going to be riddled with a little bit of uncertainty as you struggle to anticipate whether or not your teammates are infected. You get these blood tests, but they offer a false sense of security, as even a clean teammate can transform moments later, and it's nerve-wracking as you're with them the whole time, and all of a sudden it's like, boom, now they're a thing, and that constant doubt will just gnaw at you. It makes you feel more isolated and more distrustful, and I find that despite how frustrating that was, it kind of felt like it mirrored the film in that I couldn't trust any of my teammates, even if they proved to me right in front of them that they weren't a thing. The game also, it never lets you feel safe. Often you'll be crawling in ducts and you'll have to fight a small wave of scuttlers. There's one chapter where you drop down into a duct and there's just 2 scuttlers right there waiting on you. And then directly underneath that is a room with 2 walkers and a couple more scuttlers. No help from your teammates at all. And then later in the game, just as you walk into one of the ducts, you're immediately ambushed by scuttlers, and as soon as you kill them, you think you have a moment and you take a few more steps and boom, another ambush is triggered. Now, while The Thing may not be the most overtly terrifying game today, it creates an atmosphere of dread and paranoia and isolation. The psychological horror elements, combined with the constant threat of betrayal from your own team, make it a unique experience. You might not scream or jump, but you'll have a good time. There'll be some moments in there where you get scared. It's scarier than Resident Evil 4, but it's not by much. The Thing is a pretty great game. It was made during an era where single-player games and experiences were still a priority, and that's something that I will always truly appreciate as almost an exclusive single-player gamer. As a fan of The Thing, this is a welcome addition to the mythos. The movie is such an important piece of media for me. I'm very happy to have played this and experienced this, and it has been an absolute treat to talk to you about. So, should you buy this game?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
The physical copy costs way too much for anyone to buy unless you are actively collecting games. On PC, you can get it free on My Abandonware, and I have a video explaining how to get that here. In the little up at the top is a little card. You click that if you want to know how to do it. I'll also have it in the description just for Just check the description if you don't want to click that link right now. So PS2 and Xbox, if you want to play it on those, hack your consoles. You can also get it on the hacked PS3. You just need to convert the ISO file into a PS3 encrypted file, and then turn that PS3 encrypted file into a PKG file, and then you can install it on your PS3. It's complicated, but it's a way to play on cheaper hardware. I don't know if you know this, PS3 is currently cheaper than the PS2. So if you want to do if you want to play the PS2 version, get the PS3 and go through the rigmarole, bada bing, bada boom, the thing on PS3. I think it's worth it if you're a fan. If you don't feel like playing, I also have a full playthrough right here that you can watch. You can click that card. I will also have that linked down below in the description. Okay, so I love The Thing, and I love talking about The Thing. And my wife is here to tell you that she is sick of hearing me talk about it.
I'm sick of hearing you talk about The Thing.
But bad news for her is that I'm not done. I plan on doing reviews for all the comics and both movies. So you can expect that all in the near future. At least this year, probably before the end of summer. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button, as I have a lot more planned for releases this year and no intention of stopping. Plus, subscribing helps you find more of my content easier, and as an added bonus, it helps viewers like you find my content. So go ahead, drop a comment, tell me how you liked the video or how much you liked The Thing. Anyway, that's it. That's the video. Slosh out.
An Arctic vacation. So what's your name, smartass?
McCready. R.J. McCready.
There he is, R.J. McCready.